I am your host, Sherry Levon Harris, and welcome back to another episode of His Will for Your Life. We're talking today about new beginnings. New beginnings are a time to reflect on past experiences and embark on fresh journeys. Whether it's a new job, a new relationship, or a new chapter in life, new beginnings bring with them a sense of excitement and opportunity. They offer a chance to start over, to learn from past mistakes, and to set new goals for the future. While new beginnings can be a challenging and uncertain, they also offer the potential for growth and positive change. In this episode, we will explore the importance of new beginnings, how to embrace them, and how they can lead to a fulfilling and successful life. Overall, the number 8 is a symbol of new beginnings and endless possibilities, and it can be a powerful reminder to stay focused on your goals and work towards creating a prosperous and fulfilling life. Stay tuned as we discuss this topic with the all male panel. We'll be right back.
His will for your life with Cherie Harris. This is your weekly Wednesday 7 p.m. podcast. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. Informative, hot topics, testimonies, interviews, along with your weekly guests and more. And now here's your host, Cherie Harris.
Greetings and welcome back. And here we are with the all male panel. We're missing two. One should be on their way, and another is on vacation. And so we're going to start with you, Daryl. Reintroduce yourself to our audience.
Me? Good evening. How y'all doing? I'm Daryl, Jesus' favorite. Again, when you see, Apostle John, it's me. I'm Daryl, Jesus' favorite, the one that he loves. I'm from Georgia by way of heaven. I currently reside in North Carolina, Charlotte to be exact, North Charlotte. Out the way, it's horses around the corner, and I praise God for that. I love God, love my family, love who I am, and hopefully I love who I'm going to be in the future. Amen.
All right. Pastor Thomas.
Pastor Thomas Simpson Jr., the one that troubleth Israel.
See?
I am thought to be controversial, but I'm really not. I just like to point us back to the scripture. And so I'm in Lakewood, New Jersey. Well, actually, I'm in Town River, but the congregation is in Lakewood, New Jersey. And of course, I have some interesting things to say for tonight. Stay tuned.
All right.
He got the questions already. He already know what we're going through.
I know, right?
Omar Harris out of Philadelphia, and I am just excited to be here with you all and looking forward to this conversation that we're going to have. So I'm happy to be here.
Awesome.
You in North Philadelphia?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. I'm just asking.
I'm in Northeast. I'm in Northeast.
Okay. All right. Just asking.
You know, it makes a difference for people from Philadelphia.
Exactly.
Where was Will from? Was it North
He was from
Philadelphia?
North.
He's from West Philly.
West Philadelphia? Born and raised? Okay. All right, you guys. We're going to talk about new beginnings, and I'm glad you guys have this topic so we can see it from a male's perspective. When we talk about new beginnings, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
starting over, starting fresh, a new lease on life, another chance, another opportunity. I praise God, but I done had to have plenty myself. I mean, a couple of them in the last year or two. So
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is. Every day is a new beginning for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
'Cause I drop the ball every chance I get, not on purpose all the time, but yeah, every day is a new beginning for me. Now I'm only speaking for me. I can't speak for these two guys.
So, Thomas,
They are
what
new.
comes to mind to you? We know that in biblical terms, the number eight is new beginnings, because of the loop of infinity, forever, go on. But what do you think?
I think new beginnings are needed and necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think sometimes in life we can get a rut because of doing the same thing all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes we need to take a step back from what we're really doing and appreciate the fact that there is a not a do over, but do different.
Mm.
That's what I think of a new beginning sometimes is not necessarily a do over, but it
Mm-hmm.
also might be a do different.
Okay,
That makes sense.
it does.
Mhm.
Omar.
When I think in the beginning, I think of uh, like a reset,
Mm.
and also when I think of new beginnings, I think of um, moving from an old place or shedding the old off, whatever that may be. But there's also a learning process that needs to take place so that we can be successful when we embark on that new beginning.
You better come on here.
Yeah, I
Okay.
told you that answers are way better than mine.
No, sir.
Uh,
Way.
No, they're
Shalom, Akima. Yes, that is so true, and that's the vein we really want to go in for tonight. All of you, what you said is where we're headed. So tell me, what experience have you had in your life that have required you to start fresh or begin anew, and how did you approach these situations?
Oh man. Um, I think the number one thing for me has been relationships over the years. I've had to now I can't say that I've had to start new friendships over and over again. When I say relationships, I mean eros, love relationships. Because honestly, no shade to my parents or anybody like that, but a lot of us growing up didn't really get taught what healthy relationships look like. So we just know of what we saw, and we took that and we ran with it. So I remember I told somebody I was when I was out there in the world thotting, I was out there cheating. I was like, I
Let
was
me
like,
let
look,
me go ahead and put this disclaimer on this episode. Go ahead.
I was like,
always.
look, that's what I saw a lot
Hmm.
of. So
Hmm.
in my mind, that's what you're supposed to do. I didn't really see, what I'm saying? Yes, I saw my grandparents' marriage, but I'm sure they had issues.
Hmm.
I don't know anything about them because I wasn't around during those times. So by the time I showed up, they had worked it out already. They had worked it out already. So I didn't
Right.
get to see, the growing pains of their relationship.
Hmm.
And I've seen, my parents' relationships and different things like that. But if I'm truly honest about all of this, I have to say relationships has probably been my biggest, restart. Even now, I'm single now, so I'm still restarting all over again.
All
So
right,
even,
ladies, y'all heard him.
oh, here we go.
Okay, Thomas. Thank you, Daryl.
No problem.
Okay, he said that he's in Charlotte, North Carolina, North Charlotte, and there's horses at the corner, right? So, ladies,
Excuse me. You ain't no good, man.
uh,
It's only
so
7:10, and we already.
We ain't got in good.
uh,
Thomas
yeah,
is silly.
so as I was saying, new beginnings, they're needful and necessary. Um, and I think the one thing that we probably have to overcome is the fear of starting over again, or the fear of something new, the fear of something different. Am I going to be successful? Do I have the right tools? Am I connected to the right people or the right resources in order to be successful? But I think that uh, if we, if new comes to us, it's coming to us for a reason. It's coming to help us, to save us, to get us to look at life, even from a different perspective. Um, so I think, um, in my life, it's don't be afraid. Don't fear. Don't fear what's next. You can't always stay here in what's comfortable. You may have to branch out. As for something as simple. Well, I don't want to say it's as simple, but something as I had to start an assembly that was different. It's one thing to be in someone else's church or an assembly, and they say, "Hey, next week you speak." Right? Next week is your turn to speak, or next week is your time to lead Bible study. But a new beginning for me was, hey, this is yours, not necessarily mine. I don't see it as mine. It belongs to the Most High, but you are that person. That was a new beginning for me. There is nobody, there was nobody next to me saying, "Oh, it's your turn." No, it's all you. So that was something that I had to really stay connected to the Most High for instructions, for directions, because it was all new to me, and I didn't want to just follow the pattern that I had.
Okay. You're done?
Yeah, I'm gonna stop right there because
Okay, because you'd be freezing up. I didn't know if that was a pause or.
nope,
Okay.
I stopped.
Omar.
I agree with both Daryl and Pastor Tommy, but I guess for a new beginner for myself, that I experienced was when I came to the realization
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of things that I was taught in church was not accurate according to what the Bible actually says.
Mm-hmm.
So that transition from uh, just regurgitating what tradition says to actually following what the Bible actually says was really a new beginning for me because it requires us to really let go of what we thought we knew or what we thought was right
Mm-hmm.
and really submit ourselves to what is written. That alone is a new beginning, and it is a difficult one because people think you weird, they think you're crazy, they think you in a cult. So a lot of times with new beginnings, they can be challenging. You
Mm-hmm.
could catch a lot of ridicule behind doing what is correct, what is new. And in addition to that, a new beginning should cause us to grow
Come on.
because as somebody mentioned there, I think Pastor Tommy mentioned that a new beginning provides opportunity. So that opportunity is to grow and to learn and to be sharper and to be better. But my new beginning was walking into what we call on the Hebraic side the awakening, when we wake up and realize that we're supposed to do exactly what is written and not try to change it or twist it or turn it. And so that was a new beginning for me because I had to walk in a whole different manner than what I was accustomed to and what I was taught traditionally.
Mm-hmm. Um, with all of you responding to this, the first question has now sparked another question from that. Do you feel that we are afraid of new beginnings or afraid to start over as as a as a people?
Collectively,
Uh-huh.
possibly, but and this is crazy that we're having this conversation. And God just brought this back to my remembrance. I have friends that I see have gone through seasons, like on Facebook, Instagram, all these different places, right?
Uh-huh.
And they are they whether they've experienced death, whether they've experienced financial hardship, things like that. I wouldn't say that people are in fear of a new beginning. I think people are in fear of acceptance. People are afraid to accept what's happening. And I
Mm,
think that's where a lot of people right now are caught up. It's crazy because I literally just opened up my Bible to look up acceptance and
mm,
acceptable and things like that. I just think a lot of people are just more afraid to accept what has to happen or what has happened. Hey, your dad passed away. If you believe God for who He say He is, you have to accept the fact that it happened, and that you have to live your life with the wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding of who He is and what He has done in your life, and the wisdom that your dad has left or your mom has left or whomever. But people don't want to accept, fate. People don't want to accept, the will of God. Now, and I get it. Sometimes, death could be premature. But
mhm,
at the same time, if you don't have the faith to go and resurrect them, what are you going to do? You have to accept it, and you got to live your life.
mhm.
So to me, I think acceptance is more of a fear thing than anything else. Yeah, I myself, I've dealt with it. So, and I've had to learn to accept, even like within the last year and a half, I had to accept.
That's really good, and that's so true. It reminds me of the introduction that we had where it talked about unexpected or unwanted, and the goal is to stay focused and stay positive when those things come into play. You know, because it requires a shift in the mindset. So now you're used to doing something this way or having someone in your life. Now you have to shift.
Hmm.
Your mindset has to shift to the new, if you will.
Hmm.
Okay. Anyone else want to add on to that?
Yeah, I
Next question.
I think of Abram. I think of Abram when we talk about new beginnings.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the the Most High comes to him and says to him, "Leave everything that you know.
Mm-hmm.
Get to your father's house. Leave
Mm-hmm.
and go to where I'm telling you. I'm not telling you exactly where you end up right now, but
Mm-hmm.
leave. That's
Start
a
walking.
new beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know you uh until y'all worship these, you're polytheistic.
Mm-hmm.
Uh but get out of this. Is one should serve, and I don't want you to serve from in this land. I want you to leave your land.
Mm-hmm.
That's a new beginning. That because he's saying, leave the place that you are comfortable. I'm comfortable in my dad's house. I know
Mm-hmm.
Right.
everybody. Everybody knows me. I know my surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. Now I'm hearing this voice,
Mm-hmm.
something different that and
Mm-hmm.
and I know it wasn't just, hey, get up and leave. Okay, let's go.
Right.
Right? Wrestle sometimes with changes.
Mm-hmm.
We wrestle with what's new. Because again, it's the fear of the unknown. So
Yeah.
not only was his location changing,
Mm-hmm.
his name was his name was changing. Now you give me a new name too.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Not only changing my location, you giving me a new name, and you're saying worship this, and my father goes along with me, but my father dies on the journey. So
Mm-hmm.
per words, we're in a new season as well. I'm in a new time. Like all of this is going on at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes new beginnings changes everything.
It
Absolutely.
does.
And not just a portion of your life, but everything about your life. Everything about your life.
Absolutely.
Can you
So
imagine?
far. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Can you imagine Abram like sitting there talking to himself? Because can nobody hear God's voice but him? He just sitting there talking to himself out loud. Like, are you serious right now? And here goes Sarai. Huh? No.
That's true.
Right.
I think
Exactly.
uh us as a people, I think the question was do you think us as a people are afraid of new beginnings?
Mm-hmm.
Um I don't I don't think we're afraid. Um I'll say this. So when the Most High brought the children of Israel out of Egypt,
Mm-hmm.
they were walking directly into a new beginning.
Mm-hmm.
When he took them in the wilderness, he said, "This would be the beginning of months for you." So that was a fresh start. As I said earlier, he further took them to Mount Sinai and gave them the commandments. A new beginning requires instruction on how to go forward in the new beginning. But
That's good.
and that was our people, and we are those people. So we have a problem with submitting to the instructions of the Most High that will cause us as a people to experience the new beginning. He said we are a stiff necked people, and the rebellion or disobedience causes us as a people to preventing us from experience a new beginning collectively as a people. So I don't think is that, and it might be a portion of fear because when they were in the wilderness, they kept crying about what they had in Egypt, the old stuff that was supposed to be shut off. So right now, we can't experience a new beginning because we have to come out of Egypt. We have to mentally come out of Egypt. So I think it's more so unwillingness to submit to the will of the Most High collectively as a people that we don't experience a new beginning collectively.
Okay, so
Very good.
us people like us that look like
Uh-huh.
us.
Uh-huh.
Um, even with what Omar is saying, right? I don't think. I think what it is. I think that we have been so beat up, torn down. Hey, Paula.
And Paul.
Um, beat up, torn down, things like that. And now, anytime somebody wants people to connect with, this right here, now they have this spirit of skepticism that says, I know you're not gonna be like what we've already gone through, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think a lot of times, like, I don't think the Bible gets its fair shake when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to people like us, because we can argue about the origins, we can argue about where it came from, but at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, everybody on this panel knows that it's true. We all know that we've picked it up and we tried it for ourselves and know that it's right, that it's just, that it's holy, and that it can lead, that can turn our lives around and give us everything that it is that we need to have. But I think we start looking at what others have done along the way, and it makes it hard for us as a collective to receive what it is that God is trying to give us freely.
Thank
Because
you.
honestly, if you think about it, it doesn't make sense. You
Mm-hmm.
mean to tell me I don't have to do anything but just receive what it is that you have, and I'm free?
Mm-hmm.
Because we always feel like there's some sort of recompense that comes along or something, because we've always been made to give something back, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Always, we've always been made to repay something. I mean, if you get gas, or if you do this, you got to, if you go to work and get a paycheck, we got to take the taxes out. You know what I'm saying? Or it's always something that we got to give back that's taken away from us. But
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't make sense. But when you try it for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see.
Mm-hmm. I was preparing for this topic and doing a little, back in researching. And it since we were talking about the biblical aspect of this, and it suggested that because the God Yah created the earth, heaven and earth in 6 days, and on the seventh day he rested, which makes the eighth day the new beginning of when everything started.
Right, all over again.
So,
We ain't
what,
got to do no more
so
work though.
what do you guys take on that?
Go ahead, Omar.
Mm.
I can't pick on Ray, so I got to pick on somebody. Somebody with a,
You should
somebody with a bald
find
head.
out shortly.
I think that really because in on the seventh day everything was completed.
Mm-hmm.
So he, as I said earlier, during that time, he done placed his spirit in man. When he put his spirit and everything created man, There was instruction on how to operate and everything. So that eighth day really is walking into new beginning and functioning correctly and in order and in purpose in that new beginning, which would have been that eighth day. So everything was already where it's supposed to be. The information, the instructions was put out, and on the eighth day, which we would say that was a new beginning,
Mhm.
everything was operated in the purpose that it was ordained to do. That's how I see that.
Right.
And the same thing with us. We get a new beginning and we need a destruction and instruction beforehand so that we can effectively operate in that new beginning and bear fruit because that's the point. That's what we should be doing, bearing fruit.
Come on
Mhm.
here. All right. Come on, Pastor. It's in you. Come on, get it out.
I,
You talking to you,
I
Thomas?
think it's important. I'm gonna piggyback on what Omar just said. I'm gonna piggyback on what he just said. On day 8, everything was already in line. The only thing Adam and Kyle to do was now live in it.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Live in it. Day 1, day 2, day 3, whatever was needed for their new coming up to day 8. Okay, let me say it like this.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all already know day 8 is coming.
Mm-hmm.
We may not know that day 8 or the new beginning is coming.
Mm-hmm.
So he's already working in advance for us.
Mm-hmm.
He's already laid out the plan for us. I know you're going to need the sun. Here's the sun. I know you need. I know you're going to need fruits and vegetables. Here's the
Mm-hmm.
fruits and vegetables. I know. I know
Ooh.
you to
Wow. I
need
just got a visual
whatever.
of that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So it's already provided for you. It's
Yes.
already
Yes.
for you. And look, before you get to the new beginning, I want you to rest.
Mm,
Rest. Calm down.
Hallelujah.
mm,
Relax.
mm,
Relax. Come. Listen, I know you seen all this, but relax.
mm,
Got you. The way of your new beginning is new to you, but it's old to me.
mm,
New to you, but it's old to me. I got you. So when you come to your new day, when you come to your new beginning, remember what you had the day before. Rest.
mm,
You have to
Mhm.
really trust. It's all about trust. Do you really trust him?
mm,
Really trust with your life. You Many of us need a new beginning. We've been in this rut 20 years, 30 years.
mm,
We are where we are. Some of us feel like there's something more, there's something greater, something deeper, but we're trying to do the same thing to get a different result. That's not going to work.
mm,
That's not going to work. So embrace the new with the instructions, as Prophet Omar was saying. There are instructions associated with you. Otherwise, your new is going to look just like yesterday.
Ooh,
Yep.
whew, y'all preaching tonight. Okay, I hear you. That was good. That was good. Anyone else, or you want to piggyback, or we can go on to the next question.
Next question, please.
Okay. How do you think societal expectations for men impact the way we approach new beginnings or major life changes?
Ooh, gosh, that was kind of deep. Um, I'm gonna let me see. Ask that one more time because I want to make sure I'm understanding it fully.
How do you think societal expectations for men impact the way we approach new beginnings or major life changes?
Okay, let me ask this side question real quick. Are we
Mhm.
talking about one audience, or are we talking about all men in general?
Well, we're giving it from a male's perspective, so we're talking about collectively.
So we're not doing this from a black man's perspective.
No, but you can only relate to a black man, so
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So for me,
Uh,
from what I can tell, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna let somebody else answer first. Go ahead.
I think that
This
society as a whole expect men to spearhead and lead the way into new beginnings with leadership guidance, instructions, uh, planning. I think that we society expects us or really requires us to do that,
Mm-hmm.
to be the spearhead of new beginnings, or at least have some type of leadership or direction in the scheme of what new beginnings are. Because men in high places sit around and make laws and things all the time that spark new beginnings, right? So usually, even with you will say the body of Messiah congregations, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times men spearhead those things, and we're expected to have some kind of guidance or instruction or some type of vision into the new beginning or some type of plan. They society expect that of us most of the time.
So, do you think it's society because the instructions in the beginning, in Genesis, he instructed first Adam. He gave him instructions first.
That's a
So
good
it's not
point.
just society. He told Adam
Right.
X, Y, and Z first.
Hmm.
So, as a male perspective and leadership of taking your role as the leader, Johnny, come lately. How are you?
Wonderful.
And he loud and clear too.
Loud and
if
clear.
I
That's
can chime
good.
in,
Yeah. Um,
if
we're talking about new beginnings, as you
if I
know.
can chime in,
Mm-hmm.
I think that society expects us to have it all figured out already.
I'm sorry.
I think society expects us, if it's a new beginning, to have it all figured out already. We need to everything figured out, and we need to proceed with confidence, with boldness, with assurance. And the truth of
Right.
it is, that's not how it is all the time. You know, uh,
But it's not
we may
like
not
it is
have
all
it
the
all
time.
right. Not have it all. We may just know step one, step two, and step three,
Right.
But
and
you said But
right,
you said in the beginning, right? When you talked about on the sixth day, he created heaven and earth. He rested on the seventh, and the eighth
right.
day was the new beginning. So he had everything in place. He had already made provision. He had the sun. He had the fruit. He had everything. So yes, you are expected to have everything in place in that new beginning.
But okay, I don't think that's fair what you just did though.
Whatever.
I
No,
don't think that's
no,
fair what you just did.
no, no. I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it
But
though.
that's just like if we take no, we're gonna save that for our relationship part two. Go ahead. I'll let me jot that down though.
So
Go ahead.
society expects that, right? Society expects you to have it all together, right? It's a personal thing. It's a personal thing if
Mm-hmm.
you then follow the instructions. If you then stay connected, that's giving instructions. But society says if you starting out something new, you better have it together. You better know where we're going. You better know the input, all of that. And sometimes we do,
Mm.
sometimes we don't. It all depends on, am I staying connected? Really staying connected to what he's saying.
I'm gonna play the devil's advocate, and I'm not holding this to the relationship question. So,
You don't need no
as
advocate. Just say you
a
got your own opinion.
as a single woman, right? And I'm starting a new relationship, starting a new beginning with someone. I don't need him to be in the middle of trying to figure this out,
Okay, pause.
especially if he's the suitor. No, uh-huh.
Okay, pause. Okay, so
Pause.
but what you're equating is two different things though. Don't come here as tight, but it's right. I knew, you know what? So what you? Thank you, Asha. Thank you. Okay, so
We're
yes,
not
God did
we're
have
not listening
everything
to
in place,
Asha.
and
No.
God absolutely he just because God had everything completed in 7 days, and then on the eighth day was a new beginning. That doesn't necessarily mean everything was learned by Adam at that time, though.
No, it wasn't. But
Okay, so
it was
even
not.
even with a
However,
relationship, even with a relationship, right?
hmm
So let's say, okay, let's just say, let's not say for relationship, let's say marriage. Okay. Yeah,
hmm
there are certain things that you should have that are in place. You should have a solid foundation. Should a man have somewhere to live? Absolutely. Should a man have a job? Absolutely. Should a man have a vehicle?
that's what I'm
Absolutely.
talking about. Marriage. I'm
Okay.
not dating to date.
Okay. So, but that doesn't mean that still everything is going to be in place in every other area.
Not everything, but certain things need to be in place.
Yeah, but you said everything though.
Did I?
You did.
I have to watch the replay.
You said everything though, and that's the part I was coming at the everything comment because
Everything
you're
that
right.
he's responsible for. Okay. All
Yeah,
right. Whew, okay.
But because I mean
going like that.
The Bible does shows where there are new beginnings and there's at certain he'll give you a set of instructions and then you'll get to this milestone. Then he'll give you the
Right,
next set of instructions, and then you'll
right,
get to the next mile. So you might be in a new beginning, but you might get the instructions in intervals,
right.
not all at one time.
Just like Abram. Abram, all he got was just leave, just start
hmm
Right.
walking.
That's all he
That's
had.
all he got. All he had
He
was,
did he
when you
did
get out
Moses the
there,
same way.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
same thing. I'll tell you when you get there.
hmm
Yep.
So you got to have a level of trust and faith in God to even get to the next point, even with a new beginning.
You have
Yep.
to have a relationship, and then Abram was his friend, so they also
Right.
had that relationship. We're gonna let Ray jump in. Ray, you ready? This was our original question. How do you think societal expectations for men impact the way you guys approach new beginnings or major life changes?
Oh, you're not pulling any punches, are you?
See, that's why I had to back off of it, right?
Ooh, ooh, oh. Okay, can I get a pause and come back in later? I think just like has been said since I've been on the call here, we expect you to have it figured out. We expect you to know where you're going, what you're doing, all the details in between. And as I said, we know that that's not always the case, because you can set up for a new beginning and have an idea where you want to be. You may not know, you may have an idea, want to go to this step or the next step or the next step.
hmm
But as we know, different things happen in life that could change or derail. So, while societal expectation to me, to some extent, it's unreasonable. You have to allow for variables to happen. Variables happen, and I think it all look. How do you respond to those variables when they happen? Right?
Mhm.
Are you going to crumple? Are you going to shrink back? Are you going to face it on? Right? And society can look at you when things happen and blame you. You didn't plan well enough. You didn't do that well enough. You didn't consider all the angles. Well, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit of human, so I don't necessarily going to see every angle that's going to come out there, right? And so I have to understand that there are things going to happen along the way, and I think it comes down for me, how do I adjust to those situations as they arise? Rather than no, I don't believe that I have to have a plan. That's what I believe you have to have is a plan.
hmm
What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? Where are you going to go? But also be flexible enough to be able to go with the plan, go with the changes. And so I like that you mentioned Abraham. When Yah tell him to leave, he didn't give him a plan. He gave him one that's go to a land where I show you. Just go.
Right,
He didn't
right,
tell him where to go. Say go to a land where I will show you. Right.
right.
and didn't even tell him what's gonna. He said, "I'm gonna make it a nation out of you." Okay, all right. You said that. All right. I don't know how that's gonna happen. And some years later, they come. You said, "Yeah, you said you're gonna do all of this." And I ain't even had the beginning yet. I've been in this journey for years,
Mhm.
and I'm not at the beginning yet. How are you going to make a nation out of me when I don't even have a son to start building from? And but when we're going with if we're going and say we are going with the plan of Yah, we have to depend upon Him. All right, because we can go on our own, we can pick up and go on our own, and a lot of times we'll say that, well, Yah was with us or Yah supports this. And that may not be so, right? It could be your plans that you decide to get up and move with, right? And so in that case, you can't necessarily put on Yah, oh, well, he showed me where to go. Yes, he's gracious enough that he may correct you, but if it's his plan, you have to trust. And as been said, you more likely than not will not know exactly you're going to take these 7 steps, you're going to turn around this corner, you're going to go up that hill, you're going to go down this hill. It just happens and he unfolds it along the way.
So it's safe to say that New Beginnings is a faith journey.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
See, that's why we need it, Ray. Ray get you straight.
Set me straight. Okay.
I thought Samson Chemistry they did that.
Ray get you straight. You was jumping on us while you weren't here, Ray.
No, I wasn't. Did you guys all answer that question, or do you want to move on to 3? We all good.
We good.
How do you personally define success when it comes to making a fresh start?
Ooh.
Okay,
Go ahead. I'm gonna tell you my story after you get done. But to me, it was success. But go ahead.
At this point in my life, I define success after making a new start as accomplishing and actively doing everything that y'all tell me to do within that new start. That is success to me. Because anything outside of that could go off the rails. So to me, if I'm obeying him and doing what he said do within that new beginning, because I believe that's what the new beginning is for, to bear fruit and to bring him glory, I think that would be defined as success to me, even if it may not look like success. Because sometimes being successful in the things he calls you to do may not look successful to everyone's eye.
Right.
But if we're operating in what he purposed to do in every moment, in every situation, then to me that's success.
That's good. Come on, Daryl.
Come on, Daryl. Come on.
Okay,
you look ready.
Y'all know I used to be an over the road truck driver, right? I used to be where I would go all over the place, right? So this was this one particular day. I was heading towards St. Louis, right? I was on I-64 heading towards St. Louis, but I was in Illinois. So I was driving, I was worshiping, and I know, and like I'm practicing trying to hear from God, right? Because of course, in our society, that's what we have to do. So I saw a vision. I had never stopped at this rest area a day in my life because I'd never been that person. So I saw this vision of what the bathroom looks like in this particular rest area, right? So I was like, I started laughing on the inside. I was like, okay, whatever, right? Didn't think nothing of it. I had never stopped there a day in my life in all of my years of trucking. So I stopped at this rest area and I walk in. And so the bathroom guy showed me that there were half stalls in the bathroom, right? So that means if somebody's sitting on the toilet, you can literally see their whole body, right? So this is the honest guy truth. So I was like, okay, whatever, guy. I'm thinking it's silly. It's like, okay, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I finally get to the rest area. Lo and behold, as soon as I walk in the rest area, what do I see? Half stalls in the bathroom. And there was a man sitting on the toilet, and I looked right up and started laughing. But I wasn't laughing at him, though. I was laughing at God because I'm like, you gotta be kidding me right now. So I I thought that was success. No, it's honestly God truth. I thought that was success. Okay, I really saw what God had me, and I'm like, okay, God, I'll never mistrust anything you say ever again.
He takes the foolish things of the
Walking
world
that gift.
wise.
It's true. Oh, I love it's true. I walked in that bathroom, and I looked right at that man. I just started laughing but I wasn't laughing at him. Though. I promise you I wasn't.
He probably went home and said, "This guy was laughing at me in the bathroom." Father,
But
help
to
Oh
us.
me,
my
that was
God.
For life.
that was
Yeah,
success.
yeah, you gave that man a complex now. Can't go to the bathroom
Right? He
anymore.
probably
Scarred
somewhere
for
sitting
life.
home. This guy laughed at
You
me.
need to go back
Never
and see if he
ever
come back.
again.
You need to go back there.
Let's pray he watched this this replay.
Go back. Right. Go back there. You'll scar him for life.
Okay.
You need to start a therapy
Yo.
fund for him.
Mm-mm.
He
I
probably in
promise y'all, it's the
therapy.
honest to God truth. It's the honest to God truth. I never
Yeah,
Yeah.
forget
he a
that.
Now
therapist.
he has a
I'm like,
complex.
wow, okay.
Oh man. He got me. He got me crying. You crazy?
But to me, though, that was success. It was success to me. Because I'm like, okay,
Whew.
I really hear from
Oh,
God.
Father,
Oh,
help us. Whew.
It's the
oh
honest
my
to God truth.
gosh.
I was like, that. It sounds crazy, but it's the truth.
Oh,
Though. I'm so
Oh,
serious.
That's
Father,
success.
help us. Somebody
I'm
answer
so
That is
this
serious.
question.
success.
It's
We're
the
on to the
absolute
next
truth.
one. I can't take zero. Go.
whew.
I can't.
Thomas, come on. Whew.
Listen, I don't even know what we're supposed to be discussing right now because that bathroom scene just took me off.
Whew.
I got it
I
now.
don't even
Success.
know either.
Right.
Oh my
Success.
God.
I'm
I
sorry,
think
but
we need a
it was
commercial
my truth
break.
that happened to me, and I was like, okay.
Oh,
I
my
was like, all right. I was like, all right. I couldn't
But
do
here's
nothing
the
but I
thing,
was
though.
like, I couldn't do nothing but laugh. I'm sorry.
My side hurts. Okay, let me get this question out. How do you personally define success when it comes to making a fresh start?
Again, I
Oh,
going
my
into the bathroom and seeing that it is the way that it was. That's
Y'all laughing,
no.
but I'm telling you, it's
Seriously,
true.
it's
Ooh, my
obedience.
eyes are burning.
It's
Huh?
it's really obedience. It's obedience, regardless of what others think. It's really, as Omar alluded to earlier, um, in walking in this walk, right, and realizing that the stuff you were taught, were given, wasn't accurate. It wasn't the truth. Um, and for myself, um, I prayed a prayer to the Most High. How do I know that you are with me? On this new beginning, how do I know that you are with me? I don't want to be doing something and you are not with me. How do I know with me? And I remember exactly where I was standing
Mm-hmm.
in the sanctuary when he said to me, "My presence will always be with you."
Mm.
That's success.
Mm-hmm.
That's success, knowing that his presence will always be with me. I'm following the instructions that he has given me, but I needed reassurance.
Mm-hmm.
Reassurance. And he said to me, "My presence will always be with." That success. So if is nobody else is with me, if nobody else believes the way I do, as
Mm-hmm.
long as I know I have his success.
It's wonderful. I don't even know where we are.
Listen,
It's true. I'm telling you. I ain't mean to wreck the show like that, but I promise you.
The crazy thing is, the whole story was hilarious because
I'm telling you.
I have a song for everything. So while you were saying that, the song "Keep on Trucking, Baby."
I'm telling you, that's
Oh,
exactly how that
Father,
story
help
happened.
us.
I'm like, boy, I'm like, okay, God.
I can't
I
go
was
directly
dumbfounded.
to Omar because Omar is gonna make me laugh. So I'm gonna go to Ray so we can calm this down a bit, and then we're gonna go to you, Omar.
All right.
You need the question again?
Is the same question.
Yes.
How do I define success on
Yes, when
journey?
it comes to making a fresh start.
I think they define for me the way I would define success would be certainly with obedience, but also that I don't get overwhelmed in the process when things are
Mm,
not working. Right, I'm able to stand, keep a calmness about me, going back to seeking. I mean, especially if this is a journey that Yah sent me on,
mhm,
right? I go back to seek His way, but just not being let in situations that are not going right overwhelm me, let
mm,
it throw me off the rails. You
okay.
know, being able to stand in there, be able to take a deep breath and repivot if I need to.
Mm,
Learn, know when to stand the ground. And know I got to pivot out of this because I'm going down the wrong way. So for me, that's how I define success in that journey. Not being derailed from the cause and where I'm going.
okay, Thomas, you're not making it any better in the chat. So, Omar,
I'm telling you,
I answered it already.
you did-
Mm-hmm.
it's time for the next question.
because Thomas is typing in the chat, and
It's time for the next question. Y'all, you know what?
it's
I'm
time
not
for
telling
the
y'all
next.
no more stories.
No more stories, please. I'm visual, so you can't give me a story, especially
Please
on
do.
live on
It's the
air.
honest to God truth, man. I'm telling you.
Um, what advice would you offer to other men who are considering a major change in their lives but are feeling hesitant and unsure about taking the first step?
Do it.
Count
Do
cost.
it. Just don't. Do do it. Make your plan. You got a plan. Work it. You
Mm-hmm.
know what the Bible tells us. God says, "He, we make our plans in our hearts, but God orders our steps."
Mm-hmm.
If you trust God with your life, I say do it. I mean, I've been a person who's been moved a few times over the years with nothing and always come out on top. Every last time I moved to Savannah with nothing, came back with more.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, I moved back. I moved to Columbus with the same stuff I had in Savannah, left with more. The same thing with Douglasville. I moved to Charlotte. I plan on having even more. So
All
every
right.
time,
All right.
every time,
Thomas.
The scripture tells us to count up the cost, and that's right.
right?
So know what you're getting into. Trust the Most High, right? Trust Him, really trust Him. But you also have a plan, as Daryl was saying. Your plan needs to be His plan, right? Your plan needs to be His plan. Also, need to count up the cost. This is what this is going to look like. This is what it's going to cost me.
Mm-hmm.
I may not be able to, hang out with it. I may not to go over here. I may not be able to do this. So count up the cost and uh, do it wholeheartedly.
Mm-hmm.
Be all in. Don't like straddle the fence, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. If you're gonna do it 100%. Give it your all. That's all I have to say on that.
Okay. Ray.
Thank you. So my answer to that would be um, be certain about what you're doing. Think about what you're doing. Similar to counting the costs, right? But it's more, make sure that you're settled in your mind that this is the way you're going to go. Because a lot of things that trip people up. Some of the things that trip people is indecision. Because if you start saying, I'm going to go south, but then you're not sure whether or not you should head south, then your indecision can really easily
Mm-hmm.
derail you.
Mm-hmm.
So know where you're going, understand where you're going, understand why you're doing what you're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It can't be flippant. I'm just gonna get up. I'm just gonna start over, right? Understanding what you're doing, understanding and what your goal is. So sometimes sometimes life may just throw you a curveball, and you have to start over, right? But understand where you want to end up. What's the I put it sometimes, start with the end goal in mind. Okay, what is it that I want to accomplish, right? So you know where you go. That's my destination. That you're a truck driver. I'm going to St. Louis. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's where my destination is. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
there's several routes I can take to get there.
Right.
Consider things along the route.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, gas stations, consider
Yep.
bathrooms.
Yep.
I just said that. Consider traffic. Consider time of day. Things
Yep.
like that. That's
Yep.
know where you're going. No. That's what I'm looking for. So that's my destination, right? So when you have those, and I say, you count the cost. What is this going to cost me? What is what is the outcome I'm looking for when I get there? Because nothing worse than get to a destination and now why am I here? I'm here. So what? And you don't want to get caught up in that situation.
Yes, I love that quote from Stephen Covey.
That's good.
Begin with the end in mind. That is so true.
Right.
Omar.
I think that first I agree with everybody, what everyone said thus far, but I think that um, when you speak about that far as being hesitant and moving in a new beginning, I think that sometimes hesitation can be good because I think we need to ensure and make sure that it's actually a new beginning.
Mm,
And what I mean by that is that this is where I always say that at this point in my life, I'm getting to a place where if I don't hear him say it, I ain't moving. I don't
come
care.
on here.
I don't care what who said is a good idea. I need to hear him.
Right.
And so I think sometimes many people lack the capacity to hear his voice.
Mm-hmm.
That can breed hesitation because it might look good, sound good, and it might actually be a new beginning. But the lack of being able to hear him and hear him say, "This is what I need you to do. This is how you do it. This is when you do it. This is who you talk to." He gives you the instructions for it. So that can breed hesitation with the lack of ability to hear his voice.
Mm-hmm.
So as for hesitation, I would say that seek him and hear what he says before we proceed.
Mm-hmm.
Because the hesitation is for a reason. Either we ain't got all instruction, either we ain't sure it's him. Something's off with the hesitation. So I would say seek Yah and hear what he says on what to do, how, what, when to proceed.
I heard somebody say some years ago, which lines up with what Omar said. Everything is, maybe some things may be a good idea, but not necessarily a God idea. Make sure it's a
Right.
God idea for your life. I mean, straight up. And if you can't, if you telling me that you can't hear from God, then I'm gonna tell you can't read because His word you can read that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what doggone show. If you say you can't hear His audible voice, I give you that because yeah, you may be distracted. But if you pick His word up, He'll talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
It's in there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so we're going to go on to question number 5. How do you think the pandemic has impacted our collective desire or need for a new beginning?
Oh man, pandemic didn't it shook a lot of stuff up. And I
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
really think the earth needed that reset. I know America needed that reset. The only problem is it in some areas it got worse, in some areas it got better. The church, I don't think the church will ever look the same ever again. I think it made it in some ways it made it, it gave people a way to reach out to new people in different ways. In the other ways, it made some that were faithful lazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, at this point, you just really got to see what God is saying about, everything that's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the pandemic, I ain't gonna lie to you, I loved it when all the traffic was off the road because it made my job a whole lot easier.
That's
But
true.
the pandemic was, man, it was something that we needed. But at the same time, I wish some of the people that we lost were still here.
So
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Omar.
Um, the question was how did the pandemic shape our thoughts about new beginnings? Was that it? I want to make sure I'm on target.
You rephrased it, but pretty much, how do you think that the pandemic has impacted our collective desire or need for a new beginning?
Far as our need for new beginning, I think the pandemic has um caused us to be able to adapt to adverse circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think more of those adverse circumstances are coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it has caused us to learn how to be flexible, learn how to adapt,
Mm-hmm.
to learn how to deal with what circumstances present because we couldn't do nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
We had to adapt to what was. And
Mm-hmm.
I think at that time, it pushed more of us, it made us press into the Most High even more
Mm-hmm.
because everything was uncertain.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we are, the pandemic has caused us to be more susceptible or gave us more capacity to adapt to different circumstances in a new beginning. So like Darryl said, people have passed away and different things like that. And some people, it has put a fire in them. They lost jobs, so it made them step out and start their own businesses. A lot of businesses lost a lot of people in the pandemic because everybody started. A lot of people started their own businesses.
mhm.
So I think that pushed us into being able to accept a new beginning if necessary.
Mm. Selena, who is breaking up? Okay, let's go with Thomas.
I think the pandemic caused us to rethink, to things over, to analyze what are we doing? Why are we doing it? Way? Just on the business side, um, I am a former executive director of home care and house. And I was saying to my upline that some of these jobs can be done at home.
Mm-hmm.
You be in the office. The backstory is uh, we were moving from one building to another building, and the building was smaller. So how do we put all of these people into this smaller building? So my first suggestion was that don't need office. Why bring them over? We're using space, and these people don't need to be in. No, we all need to be here. Blah 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 blah. I left that position, but after the during the pandemic, some of those same positions that I was saying can be done at home, they sent those positions, home. They were done remotely. So I think the pandemic really caused people to think, do we really need to do it this way? Even church. My Torah study is online
Mm-hmm.
on Wednesdays, right? It's online. We're not going back outside on Wednesday. We gather on the Sabbath day, right? But on my Torah study, it's online. We don't need to come out and be in this face, on another day of the week, because
Mm-hmm.
during the pandemic we couldn't necessarily come out public anyway. So I just kept the same thing going. On Wednesdays, stay home. We still gonna learn.
Mm-hmm.
It's still the same setting, but we're gonna stay home. So it caused us to rethink some things. Sadly, though, I think some churches and back the same rut of church as usual. We've gone right back into what was comfortable pre-pandemic. For some, all, some, it's the same thing all over again. Same antics, same theatrics. It's like, wow, if we didn't learn this, thing that says to me in my mind is we're gonna have to go through something else, probably something more severe, but we went so that we do get the lesson.
There.
And not just get it, but maintain it.
That lesson will be soon. Ray?
Well, I'm going to start where Pastor left off because I see the pandemic as a mixed bag. I think in one aspect, it causes people to think outside the box, if I may, be more innovative, do things differently. But also, I saw an aspect of it where like the term greed comes in. I saw an aspect, and just even look at post pandemic, I see people going back to the way that it was. I see into the, during it when everybody was talking about coming together, I see after more separation from people, right? And so it to me, for me, as far as I'm seeing, it's a mixed bag. There is some good, some bad to it, and I think that's what's going to happen coming out of situation, right? And we don't but I think as I see unfold and some time goes by, you see people going back right into the same things that they were doing. To you see people are less are less patient with other people. You see people who are just done right. People are more for themselves. At least that's what I'm seeing. And at the beginning, people talk about how it's going to bring people together. How when at the beginning of the pandemic, it seemed like everybody kind of rallied together. This thing coming, where I got to stand. But as it goes on, you see people begin to silo. People begin to withdraw. People begin to do different things.
Mm-hmm.
And as we kind of still coming out of it or moving out of it, you see where people say a lot of things are going to change, but they're going to go back. As much as things change, people go back to the way things were. So I see it as a mixed thing, and just hopefully. I think people are settling now, and still a lot of them come back. So what do I really do? How do I navigate going forward? How do I really change things if things are going to change? If we're talking about fellowship, do we go back to the whole norm, or do we kind of switch and understand that you can do things differently? A lot of people going back to more. Let's go back to the old norm. And is that a good idea? I don't know. Is it good or bad? I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that question is, but for me, it's a mixed bag. You see some good things, and you see some people just falling back into the pattern of way things were.
It's a good way of putting it, mixed bag. What are some of the biggest misconceptions or stereotypes about men and new beginnings, and how can we work to break them down?
That we're afraid to
Can we
start.
ask the host a question?
What is it, Thomas?
How do you feel about your new?
Hmm?
How do you feel
Can't hear
about
you.
your
We're
new
breaking.
beginning?
We're breaking up. I can't hear you. What did you say?
We'll be typing in the chat.
What did you say? I can hear you
How
now.
do you feel about your new beginning? Because I believe you're on a new beginning. You have several new beginnings. What about your new?
I must say, it started out um, with excitement, and then it kind of calmed down, and now I'm almost like an Abraham state
Mm-hmm.
where I'm going to go where he tells me to go, because at the end of the day, my worst fear is to be outside of his will. Um, and I have learned through the years to trust him at his word. Like you said, he told you he will always be with you. He told me the same thing. So now when I'm faced with various things, I can go through them with ease, if you will, because I know that he will be with me. So now I embrace new beginnings. Before I would, halt. Even moving to Virginia, I wouldn't make the move unless he confirmed it. I said, I desire to move to Virginia, and I need you to make this way clear for me. Because if I have any hiccups, I'm going to believe that you're not telling me to go. And so on this new journey, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying my new relationship with him as
Oh,
it relates to going back to the basics, knowing him for his original intent for us. That's been a great experience as well.
well, I thought you was about to hit us with some breaking news right then. My bad. That's why you got to listen longer. I thought you was about. I thought you was
You
about
think
to
I
hit
was
us.
about to say with my new husband, he's
No,
coming.
what, you just, hey, I heard relationship, so I was like, what?
No, no,
Well,
he's
go and put
coming.
it on out there.
No. Oh, but a new beginning. I will be 53 on Friday. That's a new beginning, a new chapter in life.
Praise God. Praise God.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
eight.
Hmm.
That's eight.
That is 8.
53 is
Five
Five.
and three. 5 and 3. Grace and Godhead.
for
So
infinity.
Hmm.
The eight on
Yes.
its side for
Yes.
infinity.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Anyone else have any questions for me before we move right along? All righty. So, what are some of the biggest misconceptions and stereotypes about men and new beginnings, and how do you work to break them down?
biggest misconception. We ain't getting no heads up on these questions. Number one, we didn't
You
know what
know,
was going to be asked today.
never do.
Yeah, you told us to think outside the box, so that's what I'm doing. My box is way over there. Um, I think is that I think I don't know. I'm kind of methodical, so
Hmm.
I'm that person. Like you could throw a rock and almost hit me. I don't really go outside of. You might even call me boring, but I mean, if I go to a restaurant, I order the same thing I had the last time because I like it just that much. But I think the biggest misconception is that us men are afraid because I don't think we're collectively afraid of new beginning because if not, I don't think most of us will leave the house every day if we're honest about it because we don't know what we're going to face every day most times.
That was a
Um,
good one, Asha. Go
we,
ahead.
we, don't, we don't know what we're going to face every time we leave our homes, so or our places of rest or whatever the case may be. That's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head, you know, for me. But I know these guys got way better answers than I got. So
No, I think you guys all of your answers at the end when we think about it, they all coincide with one another
right.
because you guys gel, and I think that's very good. Um, that's why I love you guys so much. Okay, we're gonna go with Ray.
What does it say? I think as Darrell said, we are reviewed as being scared.
Uh-huh.
I think also we're not necessarily given room to fail. I hate to use that word, room to fail, or room for something to go wrong.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
So the moment that something goes wrong, then we're looked down upon as though, failure or didn't do anything right and things like that. So I think it's just I don't know how you really change society's mind about that, but but to say, they have to learn to give a little grace and understand that, we as men that, again, like I say, everything is not going to go right and straight
Uh-huh.
along the way. And I think you have to look at, how do we bounce back? How do we um, pick up ourselves and move once these things happen? Because it's not, things are going to happen. And some which we have control over, some which we don't have control over. And the ones we don't have control over, those are the hardest one when
Uh-huh.
they come. Sometimes when we have control over, even when we make a mistake, we might make mistake in our steps, in our
Uh-huh.
journeys, but a little bit of grace helps. And when we're not being beat down just because we stumble along the way.
Hmm. We are at 8:15. Do you guys want to cut off? Do you want to continue on?
I got a few more minutes left in the tank. About
Okay,
15 minutes.
great. All right. Thank you, Ray. We're going to go to Thomas. Thomas, do you want to answer?
These guys might be ready to get off though.
Who?
I said these guys might be ready to
I
go.
mean,
They
again,
didn't say
I think
anything.
I'm good. I'm good for a minute. I think one of the misconceptions, is that we are afraid. But I'm thinking about when it was Joshua's turn to lead the children of Israel, the
Hmm.
instructor not. This is a new beginning. You have a leader that people follow 40 years. He's no longer on the scene. There's a new person. Even though this new person, Joshua, has been around, it's a new beginning, entire nation of people. And the Most High said to him, fear not. Don't be afraid. Do not be afraid. This is a new beginning. And your assignment is greater than your predecessor.
Mm,
Your assignment is to take them in.
Right.
Moses took them to.
mm,
Your
Okay.
assignment is to take them in
mm-hmm.
and to conquer uh, the nations that are in. So we can't be we can't be afraid. So I think one of the misconceptions is that maybe they're afraid. No, as long as we have his help, his support, his instructions, we're not afraid. We are going full force. We are going full force. I'm not going to take you to it. I'm taking you in.
Come on here.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, and I mean, we haven't given we weren't given in the story of Joshua a whole lot of background, but even if you go back to Moses, when Moses was given his assignment, he didn't take it light. I mean, to a certain extent, he tried to get out of it because when we realize the gravity sometimes of what we're going through, it's overwhelming, and it was overwhelming for Moses. He said, I can't do this, right? But as I say, when it's a Yah assignment, you absolutely have to lean on him, right? And he will send you the help. He will send you what you need. But the new beginnings are overwhelming. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah. Do we have to walk in it with a confidence? Yes. Do not be afraid. And I think that comes when you understand your relationship with the Father, when you understand who your Father is and what He is and how He's going to stand with you, then that will help you to move forward in confidence and without fear. But Yah had to tell him so many times, do not be afraid, be courageous, right?
Right.
There was that kept repeating, be courageous, do not be afraid, be courageous, do not be afraid.
Because he
So,
was originally in the background.
hmm?
Because he was originally in the background.
Right, and he saw some of that. He saw some wars along the way, and he knows he's going to go take over the land. And then people are not just going to hand the land over and say, "Oh, here, I'm gone."
Right.
He's going to have to fight to
Right.
take over the land. He
They
saw the
they don't
people.
they don't
I'm
know
not,
your God like you do.
you
They don't
know,
know your God like you do.
he
They don't
saw the
care like you
people
do.
who are coming with him. He knows their tendency, right?
Right.
I mean, so he had way more experience with trying to lead these people than Moses did.
Right.
Moses is like, I don't even know what to do.
Yeah, Joshua
You're
was the
telling me
assistant.
to go to the king of the land at that point and tell him, let my people go. Are
Right.
you crazy? You
Right.
know?
Yeah, and it comes with him having that track record. Having that relationship with him to know his track record. If he did this before, he's going to do it again. And so when you have that confidence, then it makes it easier for you, um, to move, if you will. Yes, I agree with you, Thomas. I feel him too.
But if we look at that story and in the beginning of Joshua,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, God had to first of all shock Joshua's system. He had to flat out tell him, "Look, Moses is dead. Now you gonna step your game up, or what you plan on doing?
Moses.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got to take your people on in. Because take them over this Jordan. I'm giving this to them. So, and I'm choosing you to move forward. A lot of times, people don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear an pure, unadulterated truth. The truth is, you can't go back that way. We've already crossed that. We've already crossed that bridge. We've already done that. I need for you to be who it is that I know that you are because I made you this person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think after Joshua shook that off and said, "Okay," then he was able to step into the role that he's been in training for the whole time. He just didn't know it. So I mean, he was in training for it the whole time. So when God shocked his system, I think that was the catalyst to get him to go to the next phase.
Absolutely. And then he had to have a mind shift,
Right.
and
Absolutely.
not
I'm
think
not just an
back
assistant now.
fast.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I got to carry this mantle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that was heavy. Omar.
I think everybody about covered it. I agree with everyone said. Ray said everything I was going to say. So basically, I just think that one misconception that many have about men going to new beginning
Mm-hmm.
is that even though we may have the vision and the plan, I think details.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we don't have all the details. We only get a piece of it. And I also, sometimes everything may not be perfect along the way in this new beginning. Sometimes it's a build up. Sometimes it's some adjustments that need to be made along the way. It might be some uncomfortable moments getting to the apex or the goal of the new beginning itself. So just because a new beginning starts, it may be a lot of work involved to bring it into the fullness of that new beginning. So you're in a new beginning, but you might still have to work to reach the fullness of
Right.
what that new beginning is all about. And sometimes I think the misconception is that we're supposed to have all the answers right up front, all the details, and sometimes it's not that way.
Pastor Sherry said we're supposed to have everything in place. I didn't forget.
Because
He said
you
everything.
might
Now,
have the vision, but the details of it
not
might come
having
in.
it in place, and let me
Yeah.
just go back to my original introduction of the topic with the mindset to focus and to be able to pivot.
Right.
Get your
Yeah.
instructions and be able to move, not get the instructions and you're still confused of what you're going to do and afraid of moving forward. So let me clear that up. But do y'all just see how the screen just shift? Y'all see
Right.
that?
Right.
Mm, amazing. Okay, we down to our last question. What are you saying, Thomas? All of these eyes would be there. Yes. Yes. There's your answer, Pastor Lanisha. All right, here is our last question, guys. What role does vulnerability play in the process of starting fresh or beginning anew? And how can men learn to embrace it in these situations?
Oh, oh my goodness. You that now that's a hard question.
I'm sorry.
Because
I
honestly,
think
go ahead, Omar. Yeah, you got it. Because I'm
no,
gonna be on a rant. I'm gonna probably go on a rant. Go ahead,
I,
Omar.
I think vulnerability really resides to me in the place of humbleness. Because sometimes you don't have the answers. Sometimes you need help. That's it. You in the new beginning, you might need some help to get this thing moving along to where it needs to go, whatever that may be.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that vulnerability is just having that space to be like, okay, I know what we're supposed to do, but right now I'm trying to hear or figure out exactly how to do it. So I think a vulnerability allows you that place to be humble enough to say, look, right now in this second, I don't got the answer, but I'm open for suggestions. I'm open for, some insight that I may not be seeing right now or something like that. So that's what I think,
I like
how it
that.
plays a role. Yeah.
I like that, and I like the fact that you brought that up because
Hmm.
we don't always have it all together, you know,
Yeah.
and It's expected, especially as leaders and believers.
Hmm.
We're expected to have it all together when we don't. And I believe Yah likes it when we come to Him vulnerable. I don't have it all together and I need your help. And I believe that that's the point where He can do the most work. All right. Um,
Vulnerability is scary.
I'm sorry.
I said vulnerability is scary.
It
However,
is.
it's scary. However, I think it involves a good amount of openness, open mindedness,
Mhm.
truthfulness, being forthcoming, and just pliability. You got to be pliable. And I think one issue that people may have is all these questions that we're asking or being asked tonight. Sometimes you're asking it from the wrong person or people.
Mhm.
And I think that's something that we have to take into account when we're dealing with things as well. Who is it that you're talking to? Who is
Mhm.
it that you are? Because a person can expect a teenager to have the wisdom of a 50-year-old. You just can't.
Mhm.
Now, sometimes it happens because we look at Apostle Mark. Apostle Mark was a teenager, but he was one of the first chosen, right? But at the same time, we don't look at I wouldn't look at Scooter to be on the same level as DJ. No matter how much he wants to be on that level, I would never look at him with the same wisdom, understanding and things like that. So our vulnerability is directly related to what we're willing to give up, what we're willing to say. This is who I am. You got to accept me for what it is.
Mhm.
And I have to be willing to share that with the right people because I don't want to be vulnerable with everybody. And I
True.
don't want everybody that
Right.
wants me to be
True.
vulnerable with everybody either.
No, you can't.
You, you
Mhm.
can't because, some people will take your vulnerability, Samson, and cut your locks off. Now here it is.
You
You
got that
jump up,
right.
and you think you finna break these ropes, and now you ensnared, and now you're blind and you're pushing down the building. I mean, it's
Absolutely
what it
right.
is. You now you're blind and pushing down your building. That's right, Okema. Know your
Okay,
audience.
man, you're right. Yeah, that's true. Um, that's true. Okay, who we going with? Ray?
Um, Vulnerability is a scary thing, but we are all susceptible to it,
Mhm.
right?
Absolutely.
And so from my perspective, when those times come, we can either or we can grow. All right. And a lot of times when we have to be vulnerable, a lot of people shrink in the process,
Mm.
right? Because it's uncomfortable,
Mhm.
right? It's uncomfortable, especially when you have people looking to you to make decisions, to lead, to guide, to usher you in a new way. It's uncomfortable. So I think for vulnerability, we have to learn to embrace it. I mean, to embrace it in order to reap the benefits from it, right? Because it can strengthen you. You can find strength in the midst of a vulnerable situation, right?
Mhm.
And if and at the same time, you can shrink. You can just shrink away because some people run and hide, in that situation. So I think it's one of these things we have to learn how to embrace that because it will come. There will be times that you're vulnerable, and yes, you have those people that you share it with. And for me, there's time when I'm open with people and tell them I think it's a much lighter load to carry. It's a much lighter load to carry. And yes, some people can use that against you, but you will have people who will rally around you in that situation.
Mhm.
Mhm. Very good. Who's next? Thomas. Did Thomas go? Did you go, Thomas?
No. When I think of vulnerability, sometimes I liken it to worship. How much I willing to surrender to the Most High? How open am I willing to be when He knows? He already knows my weakness, or He already knows my
Absolutely.
uh, my so being vulnerable for me is like, well, here I am.
Mm-hmm.
I can't hide. You know, and I'm wholly leaning on you to cover me, until I get to the where I can. I don't want to say really stand on my own 2 feet, but where I am strengthened. So
Mm-hmm.
here I am. I'm like this. My hands are up. I completely surrender to you. I completely
Mm-hmm.
surrender to your will. If the way that you want me to go, I would say this: you either gonna come out like this, or you're gonna come out like this,
Mm-hmm.
right? It looks the same, but one is voluntary, one is involuntary. I'd rather come out like this voluntarily and
Mm-hmm.
be vulnerable. You know me. You know how I am. You know, you that I take. So it's not a bad thing. Being vulnerable is not a bad thing. And again, times we are vulnerable with people. If somebody mishandles your position vulnerable, that speaks of them, not of you.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
That speaks of them. That speaks of their weakness, not of you being vulnerable. So that also gives us insight into, oh, you know what, going forward, I can't deal with them because they mishandled me when I was being vulnerable. Can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Can't do it.
Very good, guys. This has concluded our panel discussion. But as always, we want to leave with a takeaway. Um, so we're going to start with you, Daryl, Ray next, Omar, and then Thomas, and we're going to close out.
My takeaway would be is a piece of advice. If God show you something in a vision, believe him, cause you're gonna laugh outside of that. Yeah,
Yes.
that's my takeaway.
He literally took the foolish
He
things of the world to compare.
literally took it.
Yes. Stop, Thomas. Ray.
Uh,
Yes.
um, whew. Deep breath. New beginnings are hard, challenging.
Mhm.
Embrace it.
Okay.
We are going to have new beginnings at one point or another. Embrace it, um, and trust in the Most High.
Awesome.
Amen.
Omar.
I think that my takeaway is that new beginnings are certain because one thing that is for certain, change is a part of life.
Mm,
So we are at some point going to experience new beginnings. And I think that we should embrace new beginnings. We should not be afraid of new beginnings. We
mm-hmm,
should walk into new beginnings with
mm-hmm.
insight, knowledge, and instruction, and we should expect to bear fruit in new beginnings. So that was my takeaway.
Amen.
Awesome. Awesome. Thomas.
Believe it or not, I have 3 words. Just do
Mm-hmm.
it.
Just do it.
That's it.
Okay, Nike.
You know there's copywritten now. Don't get us shut down.
Don't
Now.
get us shut
Don't
down.
get us shut down.
Nike says
Yeah,
just
exactly. Don't get us shut
Nike
down now.
Nike says just do it, right? But that's fine. But before that, Mary said, whatever he says to you, do it.
do it.
Okay, we can go with that one.
We go with that.
We go with that one.
We can
Mhm.
go with that. I need all of you in the chat to put in new beginnings. Just type in new beginnings in our chat. New beginnings. As we conclude this month, with this the 8th month, we're going into new beginnings. We're going into the 9th month, which is
Birthday something.
fruitfulness.
Birthday something
Fruitfulness.
new, right?
Fruitfulness. So now that we have a new beginning, we can expect
You talking
fruit.
about our chat or their chat? I'm
No,
confused.
their chat.
Okay, because I'm seeing
Yeah.
Ray. I'm like, what? You talking about the
Put
people?
it in the chat. I don't know. I put it in the chat. I was being obedient. I
You
put it
said
in the chat.
And as we expecting new beginnings,
Yeah,
we're expecting
that's a part of being new beginnings. You got to be obedient.
obedience. Obedience. This is a great topic, guys. You went with it. I told you to think outside the box, and you did. And I believe that Yah is pleased with what happened here tonight. And so we ask that you, audience, will accept your new beginning. Allow Him to do something new in you. It's a new season. It's a new day.
That's
A
copyright as well.
fresh anointing is coming your way, but it's either from Israel Houghton or
Yeah.
Martha Manuzzi. I'm giving credit where credit is due. And so that's where we got that from. But please share this replay, share this episode so that others can see it in the replay. Share it to your page, share it in your group. And we look forward to seeing you all next week if we don't take a little break. But please come back here on Friday at 7 p.m. as we celebrate a new chapter in my life. We're just going to have some conversation and have a few people just deposit some encouraging words into me. And that's what we're going to do. Just have some great conversation, some fun and laughter, as you can see. Remember, it's okay not to be okay as long as we don't stay in that place. Thank you again for joining us. Anyone has anything else to say before we close out?
God bless y'all.
That's it.
That's it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Please join us again next week for another riveting, informative segment of His Will for Your Life podcast with Sherry and her special guest,